seconds to reevaluate things.
Figures, right? Like, why is it not working? It was working fine half an hour ago.
It's like doing public math. It's like, okay, you're on the...
That's right.
Have you hit 70 yet, Purse?
I am! Yay!
Congrats.
Congrats! Let the grinding of faction begin.
Right?
Yes, the free 4 hours of stuff to do and then extra that you can find.
Let the real game begin.
Cobalt assembly.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, don't tell me about it. I've done it on 3 characters.
Oh dear.
Have you been sleeping?
No. No, he hasn't.
You gotta do the expedition guy, you gotta get those are all leveled up, you get several things leveled up. Oh, yeah.
Like, I go to bed at 11, I get up at 6:30 to go to work, and Hade is still online. I'm like, Hade, have you slept yet?
No, he's got that bed that reclines back with the big screen over his head. He can just sit there and play
What
the
a
game
goof.
while laying down.
To be fair, I got up at 8 p.m.
7 minutes ago.
Too funny. All right, you guys, I think everything is working here in terms of it recording, not streaming, sadly. Okay. And there we go.
Before you guys get started, it is awesome to see all you guys, hear all you guys on.
I know.
It's been a while.
It's so true. It's so great to see everyone online and us reconnecting back in the game. It's awesome. So, okay, well, let's get started here. The last time we got together... Oh, sorry, what was that, Shorty?
Raz just wants to say
Hello.
Hey, Raz.
The rest.
You're...
I see you streaming on Discord. Maybe that's why you're not streaming on YouTube.
Yes, I just shared my screen on Discord. But for whatever reason, I don't know why the stream is not working, but I'll be sure to make sure that is fixed. So, all right. Well, the last time we got together for a raid guild meet, Odessa gave me 20 minutes, so I was on a timer. So I better get going here. So 20 minutes.
I don't think so. I think we said we will wait for you 20 minutes.
Oh no!
I think, did you go like an hour last time?
No, couldn't have been.
That video I watched when I joined was over an hour.
Okay, well, that one might have been. But the Sepulchre one, that was like 17 minutes, I think. Maybe a little bit longer. All right, so let me just get my PowerPoint presentation up here. So I am streaming in Discord, so for those who want to follow along, looking at the PowerPoint presentation, it's there. If you just want to listen, that works too, whatever works for you. All right, so 20 minutes, T-minus 20 minutes. We're going to start the counter.
I did 5 minutes ago. I don't know
what All right, okay. Well, I want to thank everyone for being here. I really appreciate that. I'm looking at all the names in Discord, and I would say 90% of those names are veteran members. So, that means most of what we're going to talk about tonight are, it's probably not new stuff, but you're here anyway. And so that says a lot about your commitment and your dedication to the guild and to our raid progression. So I really appreciate you being here. I'll try to be brief and as succinct as possible, I promise. And I also see some new members in Discord as well. I think you should take a moment to introduce yourself.
I suppose I could introduce myself. I am the warlock Denke Bola.
Stone Legs.
Yes.
Right. Okay. I tried to whisper you earlier, but it wouldn't go through for some reason. So I didn't know who you were. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome.
And I see a Bale.
Hey guys, it's Bale. Guys and girls, being inclusive. Thanks so much for organizing this. I just love this guild. I like the way it works. When you guys say you're gonna do something, you always follow through. And I'm blown away that our guild master has a PowerPoint presentation for a meeting. Like, that is epic. So purples to you.
Oh gosh.
Purples to you. Thanks, guys.
She also sends homework.
She does.
That's true.
Oh dear.
There will be a pop quiz at the end of this.
I was told there would be no mass.
And I see Alexis. I see Alexis in here as well. Das Yeti Stump.
I thought you said lactus there.
Oh. So. Alexis, can you hear us?
When Laxus comes online, we need to get the backyard again song, Yeti Stomp, in the background.
Right. And I also see a tenant as well.
Hello, you guys hear me?
Hey, Laxus.
There's Laxus.
Yep. Yeah.
I am Laxus.
Max.
Excellent. And is it, let's see here. Is it Tenente? Our new hunter in the guild? I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name. I'm just going to try to pronounce it phonetically, but it's probably not right. I think their mic is off, so I trust that you can hear us. All right. All right, so for those of you who are... Oh, did I hear something?
Yeah, first, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They posted in Discord, hey guys, my mic isn't working now, but I'm the hunter.
Super. All right, so for the new faces, like I said, I will try to be brief, but at the same time, thorough enough so that way it's very clear as to what our expectations are moving forward, so that way we're all on the same page. All right, so let's get this going. Okay, so our agenda for tonight, we're going to talk about our raid roster, we're going to talk about our progression start date, our expectations, etiquette, loot rules. We'll talk about our event calendar, and then at the end of the meeting, we'll have an open forum just to talk about what worked, what didn't work in Shadowlands. I want your feedback. Like, your opinion matters to me. Your input matters to me. So I want to make sure that everyone's voice is heard, and I want to know ways in which that we can improve, how we can do better. So we'll talk about that, and then after all of that, we'll run some dungeons. Any questions about that? Alrighty. Okay, well, the roster. So for tanks, we've got Naz and Harima. Backup tanks will be Aaron, Bees, and Pyrite. Healers, we have Eric, Inway, Kaz, myself, and Yasmin, with backup healers being Oopsie and Spellcheck. I believe everyone's interests have been accommodated, so everyone is playing a role that they have signed up for, so I think that's awesome. And we've got lots of DPS. So that's our roster moving forward. As always, we ask you to stay on your main until AOTC is earned, unless there are extenuating circumstances. So if we're down a tank or if we're down a healer, we have those backup people in place. Or if we need a particular raid utility, or if we need a particular class, then there's some wiggle room to rejig there. But for the most part, that's our raid team moving forward, because it's just fair to keep it the same. Like, it makes gear acquisition easier and it maintains the group integrity. Any questions about the roster? Okay, well, let's continue. So the raid opens this Tuesday. So if everyone looks in their calendars, if we take a look at the following few Saturdays. So if raid opens this Tuesday, it means the following Saturday is the 17th. And then the following Saturday is the 24th. And then the 31st. And so here we are again. This is the second time Blizz has launched a raid schedule over the holidays. This was not an easy decision, but I feel it's a sensible one. We want people to enjoy the holidays. We want people to enjoy the expansion. We respect people's time. We know it's a busy time. So we'll be starting January 7th. So we're going to be starting 3 weeks from 3 weeks from now. Any questions about that or comments about that?
Possible, like maybe the 24th and 23rd, 31st, we could just do it on a Friday night instead of Saturday night?
We did discuss that, and that would be the 23rd and the 30th. I know many of us are busy during that time, and so that it's just not a possibility for me. I know it's disappointing. And this is the second time that we've had to delay our start date because, more often than not, we're right in there. We jump right in there. We're excited to get in there. But considering that it's the holidays, again, it's just unfortunate circumstance. Any other comments about that? All right, so as always, it's Saturday from 8 to 11. We have 2 5-minute breaks at the top of the hour. Now, in terms of an item level and DPS and heals, now this is a bit of a moving target. I've looked at the data on the PTR. There's a lot of data out there, and I like to work with concrete numbers, and so we'll know more once the raid opens and we actually get some legit numbers. But for now, just to kind of give everyone a starting place, if the normal vault drops 389, that's the item level gear, then I'm thinking around 370. So 370, I think, is a good starting place for our item level. And in terms of DPS and heals, it's around 25k. And I know the data on the PTR can be unreliable, but I'm seeing anywhere between 25 to 60k DPS, looking at some of these logs from the PTR. So I think if we start modest, 25k, we try to be as inclusive as possible, and then of course as we progress through the vault, those expectations have to increase because the difficulty in the bosses increase. Any comments about that?
General, right now for eye level, doing just Mythic Zeros, you can get to 370 pretty easily. So if anybody's having trouble with gear, hit me up. I'm happy to tank Mythics to help gear folks.
Yeah, same as with me, as I'm going to do tank, so please, I love running dungeons anyway with folks, so especially with guildies, so anytime I'm on, hit me up.
Plus, we're starting so late, we're going to have 3 weeks of LFR for gear.
Yeah, we'll have actually 2 weeks. So, in terms of our raid readiness, I think it's achievable. I think we're going to be ready. Like Naz said, Mythic Zeros, they drop 372. The Mythic Plus, they drop 382. Mythic Plus Keystones, that opens this Tuesday along with the raid. And then once LFR drops, so the first tier opens December 19th, and then the second wing opens January 2nd. And the gear that's in LFR is 376 to 385. So by the time we start raiding, the second wing will be open in LFR. So I'm thinking those are reasonable expectations, a reasonable starting place. There's also the rep grinds as well. There's a Cobalt rep ring 389, and I'm sure there's other stuff too that I'm missing. Other ways that we can acquire gear. But of course, everything's new. We're just trying to acclimatize to all the changes and learn everything that's out there. Any other thoughts or comments about that?
Or up to, are we keeping the same mythic schedule that we have now? The guilty calendar events?
Speaking of which, let's talk about that. That's a great transition.
Great segue.
That's right.
Bill.
I was going to mention with respect to raid readiness is that utilize our event calendar and your guildies. Like there is a wealth of information and, you know, a wealth of experience and knowledge that's in our guild. So, you know, if you're struggling or, you know, grouping up with your guild mates to run dungeons, yeah, like just make a shout out in guild and group up, because that's what we're there for. So let's specifically take a look at our event calendar. All right, so event calendar coming soon. So we're going to have, just as we did for Shadowlands, we're going to have a variety of events. The event calendar is something that the officers and I take seriously. We spend a lot of time in creating our event calendar. We want to make sure that there's lots of variety on the calendar, that it's inclusive, there's diversity, that we're trying to accommodate everyone's progression needs. We want to make sure that there's a pathway to progression, so it's not all about just end game content. There's other events there to support everyone's individual path. So it's going to reflect the current content, again, accommodating the needs of our guild and our members. We're going to have a tiered raid schedule. So Friday, of course, will be alt raid. Once Saturday moves into heroic progression, then Friday becomes alt raid. And so again, we've got that path to help people be raid ready. So if they're not quite ready for Saturday, then the alt raid Friday is a great event to support that need. We'll have our staple events. So we'll have farming, we'll have LFR, we'll have dungeons and keys, which all in some way promote raid readiness. Like I said, once Saturday begins heroic vault, then Friday will be our alt raids. We're also going to have some fun stuff thrown in there. Oopsie is going to continue running his old school event on Saturday. Pyrite suggested a guild Kahoot, which I think is a fantastic idea. So we're going to incorporate that. We've had transmog contests in the past. We've had Horde lawn darts. We've had Hot Chicks trivia. You know, Thalen has his lore crawls. So we're going to have lots of stuff that we're going to put on our calendar. Specific to this expansion, we're going to have Dragonflight race competitions, which has been suggested, which I think will be a fun idea. And coin scavenger hunts too. So making sure that we find all those coins for our Dragonflight. And so yeah, those are some of the things that we're going to be thinking about, that we're going to be putting on our calendar. Over the holidays, like over the next couple of weeks, events will be posted according to each officer's availability, because again, it is over the holidays. But after the holidays, our event calendar will resume full-time starting the first week of January. So that's kind of our time frame. So that's what we're looking at. Any questions?
I do want to chime in. So with our event calendar, because we do take times putting our events on there, we ask that if you sign up on the event calendar, that you show up, or at least are able to, just to let us know.
Yep. Yeah, it's really important. Like specifically for the Friday night alt raid and Saturday progression, we need to know who's attending, and you guys for the most part do a great job, you know, in letting us know, like for raid attendance, if you're going to be there or not. So keep that up. That's awesome. But it is important for us to know who is attending, so that way we can make preparations. So if we're down a certain role, then, you know, that means we have to reach out and make sure that that role is covered. So it's just courtesy, just letting us know if you can't be there, so we can make preparations for your absence.
And Ross has a question.
Yeah, my question was.
What's that?
You what?
Wants to know when the first lawn dart for the 6th.
Good question. I'll get back to you.
He said, "Okay."
Keep your eyes on the road, guys.
That's right.
We should also do a running of the bulls sometimes here.
Oh, that's right. We did that back in the day too. That was a lot of fun. Oh. Sounds good. So like I said, there's a lot of things that we have planned. It's just crappy that this launch is over the holidays. But like I said, once the first week of January arrives, that's full-time event schedule moving forward. Any other questions?
I think I have a question.
For sure.
Just curious, because I like to do a lot of PvP. Would there be any chance that we can like incorporate that into the schedule, maybe, or I'd be happy to like lead that or something? Just curious, because that's kind of the content that I like to partake in as well, outside of raiding.
So I'm gonna chime in with that, because Shorty, I'm an officer as well. Back in the day, whatever. I did have some, and no longer had any interest. So if we do get enough people that are interested in it, bring that back.
I did, just to reiterate what Shorty said there, I know she's on the road and she's on her phone. Shorty has tried several times to try to get a CRD PvP group going. And like, it's one of those things where, people suggest that everyone wants to do PvP until it's time to do PvP. And then there's just, the attendance isn't there. And so I do feel badly for Shorty, because she, like I said, she has tried really hard to get a viable group going. But if there's interest and it sticks, I know that Shorty would love to host a PvP event.
Sure, and that's actually how. Oh.
What's that?
That's how we met. Actually, that's how I joined the guild.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. I remember you and. Who's the other character? STE. Stay?
Stay, yeah.
That's right. That's right. So, all right. Well, let's continue. Okay, let's talk about loot rules. Now, this portion of the meeting is new because personal loot is now gone. So, personal loot is no longer. Blizzard has reinstated the group loot. So, that's need before greed. So the officers and I, we have spent a lot of time discussing this and looking at the pros and cons of, how we're going to move forward. We spent many meetings talking about this, and even, Inway attended one of our meetings as Guildie of the Month. So I'm, she'll attest to our discussions on this topic. We were hoping that we could use the system that Blizz has put in place here and just have people need on the gear that they need, and, to be honest, and if it's off spec, then you're greeting on it. We've also looked at other add-ons. We've looked at RC Loot Council to see if that can make loot distribution easier. But our final answer with that add-on was just, maybe I'm just old and I'm resistant to change, but I just worry about putting all my faith and trust in an add-on. I like the human element. I like to be in control. As you guys know, I'm a control freak. And so I don't feel comfortable giving that to an add-on. So this is what we've decided, is that everyone will pass on the gear, and the gear will be funneled to the master looter. And the master looter will post the gear, as we always have done in raid chat, and it'll be need first, then off spec, then transmog. So again, when it pops up, everyone is going to press pass on the loot. So it's very clear. There's no misclicks. It's all, you're always clicking pass, and then the gear will be funneled to one person for it to be distributed. If in the future, if Blizz offers a transmog option, then, maybe we can work with the system that they've given us. But for right now, there isn't a transmog option. So that means people would be, like, quote unquote, greeting for transmog as well as off spec. And so that just makes it messy. And so this way, by funneling all the loot to one person, again, it's clear, it's transparent, it's unbiased, it's the highest roll wins, it can be more easily monitored. And, you know, we've always tried to ensure that our loot rules are clear and transparent and unbiased, because I feel that's very important, because we don't want loot drama. So we've always done our best in trying to be objective when it comes to the distribution of loot. Any questions about that?
I have one question.
You bet.
If you accidentally agreed or need on a piece of gear, you can still trade it off to the master looter, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions about that?
So once you've gotten your need roll, then you're done with need rolls until everybody has gotten something?
Close. So the only limitation that we have, you're right, is on the need roll. So once you've won a need roll, then you have to wait until off-spec to roll again. Now you have unlimited off-spec wins and unlimited transmog wins. The only limitation is the need roll. So once you've won a need roll, then you have to wait until off-spec. And the reason for that is it's just to prevent the same person from needing and winning everything. So it's just our way of trying to share the wealth, to, you know, try to encourage everybody get something. And like I said, to try to spread around the loot as fairly as possible.
Ask that question as clearly as I
One
should've.
need per raid time.
There we go. Thank you.
Correct. Yes. So like Friday
So
alt raid
resets,
is
so it resets for the next raid the next week.
correct. Yeah. And also alt raid and Saturday's progression are not connected either. So if you win a need roll for Friday, you of course are still eligible to win a need roll for Saturday.
Or if we happen to finish the raid and restart it, it resets also.
Correct. So let's say we're doing heroic vault on Saturday and we hit a brick wall, so we decide to drop it down to normal. The loot also resets.
And we do keep track of who wins the need rolls. We do have actually a loot channel in Discord.
Correct. So again, everything is documented and recorded, and like I said, transparent. Now, I understand that there are purchasable mounts using 389 necklaces. Now, am I right about that? Because I read that.
I think it's rings.
Is it rings? Okay.
Yeah, it's rings.
It's both. There's a mount for rings, and then there's also a mount for necklaces.
Okay.
Oh, perfect.
I'm glad I'm not going crazy. Okay. So in that situation, if you are rolling on that necklace or that ring because you want the mount, well, that would be a transmog roll then.
For the purpose of raid, it's only going to be the necklaces. The rings drop in dungeons.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, and just to finish up this slide here, so tunes in the guild are allowed one need win. After you've won your need roll, then you must wait until off-spec to roll again. So what this means is Haid on his dragon no longer has to wait until off-spec because he's in the guild. Finally! Way to go, Haid! All right. If BOEs drop, which from what I understand, BOEs aren't going to drop on any of the trash that's in the raid. There's like these mini bosses that, or lieutenants or whatever. And so those guys are going to drop BOEs from what I've read or from what I understand, if you guys want to correct me on that. But so if BOEs do drop, they do need to be equipped like right away. It's just good form. But if no one wants the item for their main, then BOEs can be rolled on for alt.
So this season we're doing BOEs as part of main loot, not BOE is yours and you can pass it to the guild if you want.
Well, from what I understand, BOEs it's going to pop up the need before greed loot system. There is no personal loot at all anymore.
Okay.
That's from what I understand. Now, could that change? For sure. Anyone else want to verify that?
The only thing I know about it is that they're BOE. They're going to be BOP for the first week or two, but then they'll change.
That's mythic only. That's only
mythic.
Only mythic.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, so again, from what I understand, there is no personal loot at all. Every loot is going to activate that need before greed loot system, which, yeah. Okay, and also nothing new here. Please don't loot lock yourself. So for instance, if we're raiding on Saturday, don't clear the raid on Friday, because then you've loot locked yourself. You won't be eligible for loot. And so that means you won't get loot, which means that you reduce the loot pool. And so that's, one piece that we couldn't distribute to the raid team. So you're just lessening the amount of loot that we get in the loot pool. So please don't do that. Any questions about the loot rules? All right. Okay, so what's the same? As always, make sure you come to raid with your gear gemmed and enchanted. Make sure your add-ons are updated. DBM details, GTFO, weak auras. I posted a really good weak aura in Discord earlier under the Vault channel. I also posted some strategy guides as well that you can take a look at. Make sure to bring personals. I'm hoping that when we start raid, again, January 7th, that we're going to have cauldrons and we're going to have feasts, but we might not. So in the event that we don't, make sure you bring personals. I know that we're all trying to learn our professions and get our professions all leveled up. So we're going to try to have all the goodies for raid, but if we don't, just make sure you have backup. And donations to the guild bank are always welcome. And I know that's already happening. There's so many donations that have been placed in the guild bank over the last couple of weeks. And we're, crafting profession gear for people, and we're sending people recipes, and we're sending people mats. And I just love seeing the support and how we've just, come together to help each other out in the first few weeks of this expansion. So keep it up. I think it's awesome.
I would like to make a comment. There are no actual flasks this tier around. It's actually, I think it's files that have replaced the flasks.
Correct.
Yes, spelled with the PH.
Right.
Yep.
but there's no group files. The cauldrons will drop potions this time.
Oh.
Correct.
Some neat changes.
I was going to mention the same thing, and I don't know if somebody's putting together a list, maybe, because there's a number of us that are alchemists, and if we've got herbalists too, we can start putting together the preferred files that people want.
Yeah. Actually, it might be good to put that out on Discord. That way we can start focusing on that.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
And put out there what the mats are so we can all donate. That's a lot of mats.
That sounds great.
Your crafting orders.
Well, yeah, and I haven't quite figured out the whole crafting thing, like the personal and the guild, the orders.
So I think crafting orders actually cost you gold, even if the other person's doing it for free.
Yes, it's five gold, plus you have to put at least a copper or silver commission in there to create a crafting order. I've been creating crafting orders because you need 5 per week, I believe, to do the quest. So it costs 5 gold plus a small commission.
I've got one done out of the 5. It's like, ugh.
Well,
they want higher level item, and I'm trying to get it to get up to the 385 or the little smaller things. I got that one.
But as a guild, we should be helping each other out. Just tell me what you can make a lot of, and I'll put in the crafting orders under the guild section or the personal section for you.
Although the problem that she's having is it's jewel crafting, and the jewel crafting orders that you can put in are 385s.
That's that one. Also, now, I saw that I can do if you need, there's certain mats that for the accessories for, what's not geographic, what can I make? The lenses, whatever, the inscription, whatever those things that go to your extra for your professions, those count too. They don't have to be that high.
Can you make those? The ones that give the 1 point per.
Not on my Fieldcrafter, just a minute.
Just to kind of bring it back for a second, if different classes have different needs though for those files, you know, I know Hareem is also an alchemist, Inway's an alchemist, we can start getting that stuff cranked out.
Yep.
Yeah, and just as a note here, that maybe we should have this as a separate discussion so we don't derail a person's meeting. I mean, it's all a good discussion, but maybe a separate one.
Sounds good. Good. Alrighty. So just continuing with this slide. So what else is the same? Just as we've always done, you know, make sure you come prepared to raid. Make sure you've done your homework. You've researched the fights. Just as I did for the last expansion, I will provide like cheat notes, summary notes in Discord. I will create a vault of the Incarnates channel. And it'll just be like 1, 2, 3 things that we need to focus on. Just kind of like the 3 most important things. It's not going to be verbose. It's just going to be the main points that are most critical to the fight. Don't forget we have a CRD YouTube channel. So I stream every Saturday, and once Alt Raid starts, I'll be streaming Friday as well. So check out the channel and support the channel. It's great to revisit our strats by looking at it visually. We can make improvements. We can see, just our positioning. It's just great to be able to see it from a different perspective. And Inway also streams on Twitch. So if you want a different perspective, you can also check out Inway's channel as well. As always, I will post the combat logs, so make sure you're checking those out and parsing that data. Try to optimize your performance as best as you can. So looking at WoW Analyzer or Wipefest or Mr. Robot, we post the links as well, so you can use that information to help your performance. I know for me, one of the big things that I look for as the raid leader is the avoidable damage. So, taking a look at what that avoidable damage is and how we can tighten up our performance. If you look at WoW Analyzer, like the way it parses, like not only the data, but also parses your ability. Like it'll tell you how many times you use that ability and how more often you can use that ability. Like it does a fantastic job in analyzing your performance, and just, every week, just try to choose one goal to improve. And so that way you're always bettering yourself every week. And like we've mentioned before, use the guild events on the calendar to help you get raid ready and to reach out to your guildies. Like I said, there's a lot of support out there, and if you're struggling, don't hesitate to ask your fellow warlock, hey, share your secrets. We would definitely be willing to share our secrets, and if we see that you're struggling, we'll reach out to you too, because the stronger we are individually, the stronger we're going to be as a team. So it's all in the interest of helping each other. Last thing on this slide for boss mechanics. I know there has been some suggestions in the past where can we just kind of YOLO? Can we just go in there, no instruction, and just like blow up the boss? Again, I'm a control freak. I just don't feel comfortable with that. So there will be a brief instruction before we pull. There'll be just a couple of points, like here are the 3 points we need to focus on, and then we'll engage the boss. And if we struggle, well, then I can go into more detail with the mechanics. And another thing, make sure we keep Discord clear and open so we can effectively communicate. Any questions about that?
First, I just had one thing. For when you were viewing the logs while Analyzer and Whitefest, sometimes you might get in your feelings a little bit because it tells you you should have been doing this when you should have been doing that. So just go in there with an open mindset if you are reviewing logs, and just kind of use it to the best of what can make you better, if that's something that you guys are interested in.
That's a really great point because it can be really demoralizing, looking at all the things you did wrong. Like I know for me, like it'll say, "Oh, you casted Holy Shock 27 times, but you could have casted Holy Shock 45 times." I'm like, what the? Like, how is that possible? And so it's a real humbling experience. So don't get overwhelmed by all the things that you've done wrong. Just choose one thing to focus on and to improve upon.
The other side of that, looking at those now actually help you learn your class, because you might realize that you're only using your mirror rend 5 times in the whole raid night versus another DK that uses it 300 times.
Yeah, like who would do that? Who would do that,
Yeah,
Harima?
I don't know. It's epic fail.
And self-reflection is a great teacher, isn't it?
It sure is.
And it can be a source of eternal laughs later on.
Well, and that's the thing. There's always something new to learn. Like some of us, we've been playing this game for over 15 years, and you learn something new all the time. And that's just the way it goes. And there's no shame in learning something new. There's no shame in reaching out to your guild mates to ask for help, because that's part of the community that we want to establish here.
I just have one more point on the logs. You can look at others, like say for instance, when I'm trying to learn Prompt Warrior, I will review Naz, Aaron, and Hade's logs to see their timing and their timelines, to see when they're doing things.
Yep.
To, like Harima said, to better understand some of the mechanics and better time your stuff, because you may not read the tooltip and it may not click what it's saying until you see it actually in a timeline. So it's very good data if you parse it out correctly.
Exactly. And if you need help understanding the data, I have created a video. It's posted on our YouTube channel. Just kind of the basics, how to understand the data from the combat logs. All right, so moving on, in terms of etiquette, again, there's nothing that's changed here. Please no swearing, no political, religious, or sexist commentary in Discord or, in any of the platforms. We like to have fun, but, we want to make sure that, we keep it clean. We are a casual guild. We are. Because we raid once a week. That's the definition of being a casual guild. So that doesn't mean we want to waste people's time. That doesn't mean that we come to raid unprepared. Just because we're casual doesn't mean that we don't have reasonable expectations. We do. We want to optimize every minute of our raid schedule. We raid once a week, 3 hours. And so, come prepared, be on time, respect people's time. If we wipe, let's regroup, rebuff as quickly as possible. Let's try to, tighten up the time between the wipes. If we have 2 breaks during that 3-hour raid time, 5 minutes at the top of the hour. So if you have to AFK, try to reserve your AFKs during those times, so that way we're not waiting for people to come back. Because like I said, we want to utilize every minute. We only do it once, Saturday, 3 hours. So let's get her done, and let's be on our best game. As we've already talked about, let us know if you're going to be away. You guys already do a great job about that. And our guild raid expectations. So everything that we've talked about in this meeting is posted on our website. So if you haven't done so already, please go to our website. Please read through our website. Please sign up. It's important that everyone knows our rules and our expectations. And so that way, during raid night, we don't have to waste any time reviewing expectations that everyone should already know. So that just promotes efficiency. And that also, it just means we respect each other and we respect each other's time. Any questions about the etiquette?
First, I have one more small comment. If we do come back from break and there's someone that isn't back, and if you do get bumped, it's not personal.
Mm-hmm.
It's because we gave you good time to get back, and you did not get back in time. So if that does happen, after that, wipe or kill or whatever, we're just going to reinvite you anyway. So I just want to let everyone know that it's never going to be personal if you do get bumped. It's just for us to keep on a timeline.
Exactly. Okay, and so lastly, alt-raid. Alt-raid is always one tier behind progression. So once Saturday moves into heroic progression, then alt-raid will begin on Fridays. And so it'll be the same time as it's always been. It'll be Friday from 9 to 11, 2 hours, 1 5-minute break at the top of the hour. Eric is our raid leader for alt-raid, and he did a fantastic job in Shadowlands, so I know he's going to do a fantastic job moving forward in Dragonflight. Alt-raid is important. Again, as I've mentioned before, it offers that tiered raid schedule. We want to help with raid readiness. So for those people who aren't quite ready for Saturday, it provides that support. It gives people a path to progression. And it also encourages people to play different roles. So for instance, if you're tanking or healing for progression, then we would encourage you to play a different role for alt-raid. Or if you're DPS for progression, play a different role for alt-raid. That way, we become more versatile, and it strengthens our raid team as well. And it's important that people play different roles. It gives you a different perspective. Like, I know when I started tanking, I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm standing in the bad. This is terrible. My healers must hate me. So, as a healer who's healing a tank, and you're a tank who's standing in the bad, I'm like, oh gosh, I feel terrible. So it just gives you that extra, just attention to detail, which is important. Any questions with that?
One comment again, sorry.
Not at all.
So, at the end of Shadowlands, we had a poll up there for people that needed to get stuff done. And I can tell you that 8 of our very seasoned, on average, every Friday night, 8 of our very seasoned raid personnel, talking like seasoned tanks, showed up to try to help people load. So they take it very, very serious. And they cleared that content months before that. So your teammates were willing and are willing to support for the betterment of what you're trying to accomplish. So just take advantage of that as you can. And, I just really appreciate everyone's devotion to their teammates at the end of Season 4 because, when you see Dragonflight on the horizon, it's easy to just cash it in and say, you know what, I'm done. I'll just, wait till, Dragonflight pops up. But they took the time to show up and sign up and do the right thing. So I really appreciate everyone's effort at the end of Shadowlands.
Hear, hear, absolutely. All right. Well, this is this is it. So this is that's the end of the formal meetings. So I want to hear from you guys. So thoughts, comments, suggestions, constructive criticisms, event ideas. What did we do well for Shadowlands? What didn't we do very well? What do we need to improve on? What do you guys got?
2 quick questions. One, ever considered Mythic raiding? I see a long list here. You have a Mythic raid. And the second thing is, have you considered just starting the beginning of the season in Heroic?
In terms of Mythic, the answer is no, unfortunately. It is a different beast, and it requires a different kind of commitment. Unfortunately, with Mythic, it's only 20 man, so it does make it a little more exclusionary. We can only take 20 people, so it means that people will have to sit. If we don't have 20, then we don't have enough. We have tried it in the past. We did a couple of bosses on Mythic, but it's just not for us.
Cool.
And in terms of Heroic, like starting Saturday Heroic?
That'd be week 2. I fully expect us to blow through one more in a week and night.
Well, we've for a few of the raid tiers, it was like 4 or 5 Saturdays and we were done. It was like a month and we were into Heroic already.
Yeah, but we have a month to gear up. I think we're going to enter that place completely overgeared and just walk through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also think this tier is going to be a little bit lighter than tier 1 was in Shadowlands, just from the way the damage parses look.
And that's okay too. It's great for the morale of the group to go in there super prepared blow everything up, and then we transition into heroic. You know, that it doesn't feel good if it's the other way. You know, if you go in there prematurely and you wipe and you wipe and you wipe and you get frustrated and it demoralizes the group. So, you know, I know it's a bummer that we're starting a few weeks later, but I think it's going to work to our advantage. Any other thoughts or comments? Nothing? Nothing?
More laps.
To the dungeons. We ride.
Right? Das is like, you're well over your 20 minutes, Purse. Let's get these dungeons going. Nobody's got anything else? I know there was a couple of times during progression last expansion where we had to kindly ask people to drop because unfortunately the numbers weren't there, you know, and again that is nothing personal, and it does not feel good for us at all. We try to be as inclusive as possible. The last thing we want to do is trim the raid. But if that does happen, you know, please know that we've exhausted all other possibilities. We really try to support everyone. And if we do have to ask you to kindly drop, there is always a follow-up discussion. We will connect with you. We'll help you with your rotation. We'll help you with your class. We'll give you some resources, some add-ons, because we want you to be a part of the team. So we do care. And so I just wanted to say that at the beginning of the expansion, that it certainly doesn't feel good when we have to make those decisions, but sometimes we have to. When we hit that brick wall, there's nothing else that can be done. It is unfortunately a numbers game. You know, we have to beat the boss and rage timers, and if we don't have the DPS to phase them, or if we don't have the DPS to move beyond those timers, then it means that we have to look at the numbers, which I know is an ugly thing to do.
Small question.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to get back into healing, even though I've done it for the most of I played well. But it's kind of hard to gauge whether or not I can actually get into an alt because there's just so much to do with just like your main. So, but when would actually be a good time? Should I just start right now, or should I just wait a little bit when we actually start raiding? Or I'm just kind of unsure of like when to start, basically.
Are you asking about leveling an alt as a healer?
Yeah, or just period, you know, because this expansion, there's so much laid out in terms of all the things that you can do to progress and to gear up. So, you know, time is precious, and so I don't know whether or not to just stick to the main and then, you know, just stick to the scrims, or like to ping pong back and forth. It's just, I'm having trouble like gauging when is a good time to start, basically.
I would get one person completely up to 70, because after that, alt leveling is easy. You can fly immediately. You can come to the main hub immediately and set your Hearthstone here.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I was just going to add. My suggestion would be do what you are most comfortable with. Whatever you feel you're going to be able to do the best with. That's what I would go with.
And I would run dungeons as a DPS first, learn the fights, and then switch over. Try running dungeons as a healer before you come to raid.
That's a good idea.
Hey, Epsilon, and I know that we have a lot of people that are leveling alt tanks, and I don't want to speak for our tanks, but I did put them on the spot in our officer meeting a couple weeks ago, meaning that many of them are pretty happy to be guinea pigs for lower level dungeons to help us as healers get our mechanics down. So I'm not saying I'm not going to put any name to it, but if they put the offer out there in guild chat, I would take them up on it. And you know, if you are comfortable enough healing, they're comfortable enough to dying in a sense. So, we appreciate that, you know, because it's a learning experience, but you know, it's in a friendly environment, which you're not going to get roasted.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky enough to get a DK tank, then you know they're not going to die anyway.
Did you see the nerfs happen next week, tanks?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only 10% increase.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
That's not terrible.
But yeah, just to follow up on what Eric said, you know, feel free to hit me up anytime if you need a tank to run through a dungeon, or even if you just want to queue for LFR and I can get you in quicker. If I'm not doing anything, I'm happy to do it. In any time for anybody.
And LFRs, I know person I usually queue as healers, so it's a nice little safety blanket if you come in as a healer as well, because we can ensure that you know the tank, the raid does well, and you can get geared up and kind of get the strats down and your rotation down, and just a little comfort level. So LFR is a great experience as a new healer, kind of getting your basics down.
And you also you find that guild groups are less judgmental.
Yeah. And we're gonna have a number of dungeon events on the calendar, like throughout the week. So, you know, take advantage of those too.
Okay, got it. Sounds good.
And I've got a bear grid, so if you really want to kill somebody, I am always available.
All right, you guys, anything else? Or are we done? I think we're done.
To the dungeons.
To the dungeons. All right, you guys. I'd thank you so very much for being here. Like, there's over 20 people here in this Discord, and again, that speaks volumes to your commitment, and I appreciate everybody here. So perfect. I will upload this video to our YouTube channel, so it'll be there if you have to, you know, rewatch it for whatever reason, or if you have to refer to anything, it'll be there. And for those people who couldn't attend, I will make sure that they do watch the video. So again, we're all on the same page. We're all in agreement with our expectations moving forward. So thank you guys.
Yay.
Thank you, Purse.
Very welcome.
Hey Trench, congratulations on the 243 gas. I'm glad you got to fill your tank up.
Right. And Bees, how's your new gaming chair?
I didn't get a new gaming chair.
Or was that Trench? Trench?
Trench.
Trench, how's your new gaming chair?
I don't wake up in the middle of the night with back spasms anymore.
Well, that's
Is that 'cause
good.
You don't go to bed anymore? Like you're just playing?
He's on hate schedule.
I don't have a job yet, so.
Oh.
I think next week I'll really start looking for work.
Are you going to be going into the mechanic field again?
I don't know.
Hey, I'm actually gonna step out. You guys have a great night, and I will talk to you all soon.
Thanks, Shorty.
Thanks, Shorty, Raz.
Night, Raz.
Okay. Go stop streaming. Oh, oopsie. What just happened there? Oh,